Ladies and gentlemen, this is Preston Huey, and the episode of Raw just came out, the interrogation of Dr. Keene, and we're going to jump right into it. But before we do, I want you guys to go over to the East Patches channel and watch it over there, and then come back here. Right off the bat, first question, and already I'm feeling the sweet powers of vindication, as we got an answer to what they're using the fat for, and we got confirmed that they're using the fat. Like I said in the last video, they are using the fat, and we got the answer. They're using the fat for soap. They're also using bones and bacteria, but fat. I told you. You guys thought I was crazy. One of the things that I like that they did with this question is that if you were looking in the comments or in the Discord, a lot of people were speculating, were they using the bodies for food? Which I started thinking maybe, but I had my doubts. But we also saw a lot of questions where they were just specifically saying the bodies used for food. And instead of wasting another question on that, they just had the doctor outright state, the bodies, I know what you're thinking, they weren't being used for food. But there was a similar moral decay, which tells me that if the lab kept going on, they probably weren't far off from getting to that point. One of the world building things that I really like about this episode is that, if you remember, this is an emergency call to Rot, and Officer Medina doesn't seem to have all the information right now on what they're doing to repairs, because I believe she says they're still sealing up areas of Concreta right now. But on your mini screen, you see that they say that they have all breaches sealed and oxygen should be stable. Now, I could just be misinterpreting what Medina is saying, but I thought it was neat. So, I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But hey, you guys want to hear about more stuff that I got wrong about and I feel very, very dumb about? Last episode, I was under the feeling, or under the opinion, that Dr. Keene did this spontaneously and just saw the lab and blew up the whole medical bay, which with hindsight and more thought on that is really dumb.
True.
And I fully admit that I am really dumb for thinking that. But we find out in this episode that it was very much so premeditated, with a big plan put in place to make sure all the doctors were there. And we also hear how he blew it up. I'm not going to reveal how he blew it up or the strategy of what he did. Watch the episode. I'm telling you, it is awesome. We also got someone asking a question about splinter groups in Concreta, which we got more details on how that is not okay. And even if you have a user-owned radio station, you're not really supposed to have that. But it makes it sound like that there's a bunch of underground radio stations on Concreta that the government just says, you know what, harmless, let it go. But with that question, we got an appearance from our hackers at FIT. And my opinion of this is that they went about this the dumbest way possible, because before they were sending us subliminal messages, this one was an outright message of what they want us to do and saying, oh, you've been seeing us. And it was on the big screen, it was on the little screen, and it was definitely saw by Officer Gray.
Medina?
Yes.
Nothing.
And they're going to probably get reported and investigated. And wow, they're not subtle. I want to make another video on FIT. But I don't want to make it here because there's a lot I want to say, and I don't want what I say to kind of sway how you vote. Because if you want to vote a certain way against or for what FIT wants, I want that to be your prerogative. I don't want to sway you. The only thing that should sway you is what's going on in the episodes that are coming out. But I do want to make another episode. I will put a disclaimer in that episode that it may go into my opinions on how FIT organizes. But I don't want to say too much here because I don't want to sway you in either way. I probably already said too much, but I want to get on to the next part, which is the last part, and that is a question being asked about True, a question sent by me, which was very cool. But this was a very vindicating moment for me because I asked, was True being investigated for this? And Medina said no. And she went over how from elder care, the bodies go to the doctors, and she was like, well, the doctors come in and they take the bodies, which makes it seem like an easier job for True if he is involved. So he just gets the people who are the family members of the elderly to take them off their meds, and then that shortens the person's life. And then once the person is dead, he just calls the doctor and says, hey, I got another one for you, takes it to the lab. I still think True's a part of this, and you know what? It was sweet vindication when he appears on our screen and he gets gripped up by a officer. And in my head canon, that is Officer Hannah. That is Hannah, who is, I think, the animator or writer of this, one of the sisters. And this is her alternate universe version of her, which is an officer gripping up True. And she's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to interrogate you now. I'm sorry. That was awful. But yeah, needless to say, when I saw that, I was like,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
But the last thing that I want to say is what I really liked was how Medina was like, True, like, she really does not like this guy, and neither does Keen, because Keen really dismisses him and is like, there's no way that drug dealer could be a part of this. And the way they have True respond makes it seem like it's so snide and snotty the way he responds, which is so true. Wow, that's terrible pun, I'm sorry. But he makes it sound like he also doesn't like the doctor, which makes it seem like he's like, remember in True's case when he was like, yeah, those insufferable doctors, it makes it seem like Keen was definitely one of those insufferable doctors, and these two do not like each other. But I do want to say two criticisms about the episode, and they're very minor criticisms, very nitpicky, but I would love it if the next time we do an interrogation that there was like timestamps for each question, just to make it easier to like go back and listen to different questions and watch them. And that's more of a thing for me because I like analyzing these things. I analyze them a bit too much, but it definitely would make it easier to do that. But it would also make it easier to be like, when you're talking on the Discord, to just be like, oh yeah, go to this timestamp, that's where they said this. Or like when you're giving examples of stuff when we're just talking about in the rot section of the Discord. The other criticism is one that I'm not even sure is even much of a problem, but it feels weird to use a flashing light to warn about flashing lights. Some people might have the videos on 2x speed, because it was a slow flashing light, but on like 2x speed it might go quicker, and it just might be a dangerous thing. Like I said, two small nitpicks. Overall, this was one of the things I was most excited about. I was waiting for this and Amazing Digital Circus, which honestly, the new episode Amazing Digital Circus was good, but it did not have me like this. Oh my god, I cannot wait for the results episode. You guys do so much great work, East Patch, and you know what? I gotta end this. I don't know how to end it, so here's the bear gone.